The secret to making great compost in winter. Hey there, Green Space family. Welcome back to Green Space Inspirations. If you've ever stood in your backyard or by your favorite houseplant and wondered, can I still make compost when everything's frozen? You're in exactly the right place. Because today, we're going to uncover one of gardening's quietest secrets: how to keep your compost alive, warm, and working all winter long. Now, I know many of you watching are passionate growers, people who love the scent of healthy soil, who collect fallen leaves like gold, and who dream of growing vibrant plants even when the world outside feels asleep. You're the kind of gardener who doesn't just plant for beauty, but for life itself, for the bees, for the roots, and for the rhythm of the earth. But winter often feels like a pause button, doesn't it? The garden slows, the ground hardens, and we start to wonder if all that effort fades away with the frost. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't. Beneath every layer of soil, there's still movement, warmth, and transformation waiting to happen. So grab your gloves, maybe a mug of something warm, and let's explore the winter magic happening right beneath your feet. If you love learning how to work with nature, not against it, don't forget to subscribe and join our Green Space community of gardeners who grow smarter, gentler, and greener every season. Part 1. The hidden warmth beneath the cold. When winter settles in, most people think composting comes to a stop, but that's where the real magic begins. Beneath those frosty layers, life continues quietly, almost invisibly. The microbes in your compost don't freeze to death. They simply slow down, adapting to the season like everything else in nature. They're still working, still breaking things down, still creating the dark, rich humus your plants will thrive on when spring returns. Think of your compost pile as a hidden fireplace. It may not blaze, but it still glows. Every apple core, every coffee ground, every fallen leaf becomes fuel for this living warmth. And if you've ever brushed snow from your pile and seen a wisp of steam rise, that's not smoke. That's proof that life never really stops, even in the coldest months. In this quiet time of year, your job isn't to rush the process, but to protect it. Preserve the warmth. Let the microbes keep their steady rhythm. The secret to great winter composting isn't force. It's patience, insulation, and a little faith in nature's persistence. Part 2. Turning less, trusting more. You've probably heard it 100 times. Turn your compost to keep it healthy. And while that's true in summer, winter tells a different story. When the air turns sharp and cold, every time you dig in or flip the pile, you let all that precious heat escape. The warmth inside isn't just temperature. It's energy created by billions of tiny workers doing their sacred job of transformation. Stirring too often is like throwing open the door of a cozy cabin on a freezing night. All the comfort rushes out. This season asks for something different from us gardeners. Trust? Instead of turning, focus on layering. Feed your compost gently, like tucking a blanket around a sleeping child. Let the microbes keep their rhythm undisturbed. You'll be amazed at how efficiently they work when left in peace. I still remember seeing steam rise from my own compost one frosty morning. No turning, no tools, just nature quietly doing her thing. That's the kind of effortless power winter composting holds when we learn to trust the process more and interfere less. Part 3. Building layers. Like nature does. If you've ever walked through a forest in winter, you've seen nature's perfect compost system in action. The earth is blanketed with fallen leaves, resting twigs, and traces of life from the seasons before, all arranged in gentle layers. That's the secret we can borrow for our own gardens. Build your compost like nature builds her forest floor. Start by imagining your compost as a layered lasagna. Browns, greens, moisture, and air all working together. In winter, this layering becomes even more important because each layer helps trap warmth and maintain balance. Add your dry materials first, things like shredded leaves, straw, or cardboard. Then sprinkle in your greens, like vegetable scraps or wilted flowers. Finish with a light dusting of soil or old compost to introduce fresh microbes. Every layer is a heartbeat in your pile, another pulse of energy feeding the process. You don't need perfection, just rhythm. When you build your heap this way, you're mimicking the forest, where decay and rebirth happen side by side, quietly, beautifully, and without rush. Part 4. Cardboard, the unsung winter hero. When the cold really sets in, your compost doesn't just need feeding, it needs protection. And one of the simplest, most overlooked materials can do wonders. Cardboard. Not fancy tools, not expensive covers, just plain, humble cardboard. It acts like a warm quilt for your compost heap, locking in the heat that microbes work so hard to create. Lay flattened boxes right on top of your pile, covering it completely like a roof. The beauty of cardboard is that it's part of the cycle. It doesn't just protect the compost, it eventually becomes compost itself. Unlike plastic sheets or tarps that suffocate the pile, cardboard breathes. It keeps the balance of warmth and airflow, and over time, it softens, melts into the mix, and feeds your soil with rich carbon. If you've got a delivery box from groceries or online orders, strip off the tape and labels, then repurpose it here. Add a layer of leaves or straw on top for extra insulation. And you've just turned household waste into nature's best blanket. It's simple, it's sustainable, and it works, season after season. Part 5. Feeding your compost the smart way in winter. Even when the world outside seems frozen, your compost pile still hungers. Not for quantity, but for balance. Winter composting isn't about dumping every scrap you have, it's about feeding wisely, just enough to keep the microbes alive and active. Picture them as a quiet colony of workers beneath the surface, needing fuel to stay warm and busy through the cold. Your kitchen becomes your greatest ally this season. Vegetable peels, apple cores, coffee grounds, crushed eggshells, they're all perfect nourishment. And don't overlook your indoor garden either. Spent blooms, yellowing houseplant leaves, or old potting soil make excellent additions. Each bit of organic matter adds a little warmth, a little life, to your compost. Balance your greens with browns. For every handful of kitchen scraps, add some dry leaves, shredded paper, or bits of cardboard. This harmony keeps the moisture right and the temperature stable. And if you can, sprinkle a scoop of finished compost or soil between layers. It's like adding a spark that reignites the microbial fire beneath the cold winter air. Part 6. The Leaf Mold Miracle, Nature's Slow Magic. When autumn fades and winter takes over, leaves become one of the most precious gifts your garden can offer. Most people see piles of them as a chore, something to rake and toss away. But in truth, they're pure gold for your soil. Turning them into leaf mold is one of the simplest, most rewarding winter projects you can do. Here's the beauty of it. You don't need to rush or mix. Just gather fallen leaves into large breathable bags or wire bins. Sprinkle them lightly with water and let time do the rest. Over the months, the leaves slowly break down into a soft, crumbly, dark humus that smells like the forest floor after rain. It's rich in structure and microbes, perfect for improving your soil or mixing into potting blends for houseplants. Leaf mold isn't fast, and that's its magic. It teaches you the gardener's greatest lesson: patience. It's nature's way of saying, slow down, I'm still working. And when you open your leaf bag in spring and find that dark, silky treasure, you'll realize you didn't just make compost, you made life itself. Part 7. Chop before you drop. The secret of size. Here's a truth every seasoned gardener learns the hard way. Big chunks in winter compost can outlast the snow itself. When spring arrives, you might find those thick stems or avocado skins still sitting there, untouched and stubborn. The reason is simple. In the cold months, microbes move slower, and the less surface area they have to work with, the longer it takes to break things down. So before tossing anything in, take a moment to chop it smaller. Snap those sunflower stalks, snip your hedge clippings, slice thick vegetable scraps into pieces. Even cutting banana peels or broccoli stems in half can make a world of difference. The smaller the pieces, the easier it is for heat and microbes to reach every part. Think of it this way: you're not feeding a giant furnace, you're nourishing a colony of tiny, tireless workers. Give them something they can handle. A finely chopped mix means faster decomposition, less odor, and a richer, more even compost when spring comes. It's one of those quiet habits that turns ordinary compost into garden gold. Part 8. The Sponge Rule. Keeping moisture just right. Winter composting is a delicate dance between too wet and too dry. When the rain falls or snow melts into your pile, it can quickly turn into a soggy, airless mess. The kind that smells more like rot than rich earth. But keeping it too dry can stop the composting process altogether. The goal is that perfect middle ground. Moisture like a wrung-out sponge. To test it, grab a handful and squeeze. If a few drops fall out, you're right where you should be. If it drips, it's drowning. Add dry materials, shredded leaves, cardboard, or straw to soak up the excess. If it's too dry, sprinkle a little water or mix in fresh greens from your kitchen scraps. Covering your heap helps more than anything else. A layer of cardboard, a tarp, or even a wooden lid keeps out heavy rain while holding in warmth. Think of it as a roof for your living compost house. When moisture stays balanced, oxygen flows, microbes thrive, and your compost stays active, quietly transforming all winter long. Part 9. The Battle of Microbes. Keeping the good ones alive inside every compost pile, there's an invisible war taking place. A quiet battle between good and bad microbes. The good ones thrive in oxygen and warmth, turning waste into rich, living soil. The bad ones show up when the pile gets too wet, too cold, or too packed down. That's when you smell that sour, swampy odor, the sign that the wrong team is winning. But don't worry, restoring balance is easier than you think. Simply add air and life back into the pile. Poke a few holes using a garden fork or pipe to let oxygen flow again. Mix in some dry browns like shredded leaves or sawdust to soak up extra moisture. And if you want to give your good microbes a boost, sprinkle a little molasses water or pour in the cloudy rinse from washing rice. It's a natural probiotic for soil life. Think of yourself as the coach of this tiny underground team. Give them air, warmth, and food, and they'll do the rest. When your compost smells earthy and fresh, you'll know the good guys are back in charge, turning decay into the very foundation of next season's growth. Part 10. What not to add. Protecting your winter pile. When your compost pile is working slower in winter, what you feed it matters even more. Some things that break down easily in summer can linger for months in the cold, attracting pests or upsetting the delicate balance inside. The golden rule? Keep it clean, simple, and natural. Skip anything that's oily, greasy, or cooked. Those won't decompose well and can cause odors. Avoid citrus peels and onion skins in large amounts. They're acidic and slow to break down in the cold. And while tossing in tea bags feels harmless, many brands still use plastic fibers that never disappear. If you love tea, switch to loose leaves or plastic-free brands. Be extra cautious with weeds that have gone to seed or any diseased plants. In winter, your compost rarely gets hot enough to destroy them, so save those for your spring pile. Think of this as feeding your compost a gentle, balanced diet. Nothing too heavy, nothing toxic, just clean energy that fuels the microbes. When you respect those boundaries, your compost rewards you with rich, safe, nutrient-filled soil come spring. Part 11. The double bin strategy. Let one rest, feed the other. One of the smartest tricks for effortless winter composting is simply having two piles instead of one. Think of them as partners in a relay. While one works hard, the other takes a break to recover. This approach keeps everything running smoothly without losing heat or momentum. Here's how it works. Dedicate one bin to active composting, where you add kitchen scraps, leaves, and garden trimmings. The second bin is your resting pile, left untouched, so microbes can finish their work without disturbance. By the time spring arrives, the resting pile will be dark, crumbly, and nearly ready to use, while the active pile keeps building fresh material. This method saves time and keeps the process natural. No turning back and forth, no restarting from scratch every few weeks. If you're tight on space, you can even mimic this system using 2 small bins or rotating compost tumblers. It's composting made simple and smart, letting nature handle the rhythm while you simply guide the flow. Part 12. Keep it cozy. Keep it covered. Now that your compost is layered and balanced, your final mission is simple. Keep it cozy. Think of your compost heap as something alive because it is. It breathes, it warms, it rests, and just like any living thing in winter, it needs shelter from the cold. Covering your pile isn't about hiding it. It's about protecting the life inside. You can use what you already have: a piece of old tarp, flattened cardboard, straw, or even a wooden lid. Anything that keeps out heavy rain and snow while holding warmth inside will do. Some gardeners even wrap their bins in old blankets or bubble wrap for extra insulation, like tucking their compost in for the night. Place your pile somewhere it can soak up a bit of sun during the day, near a wall, a fence, or even a shed. The gentle heat helps microbes stay active longer, and if you want to see the magic in action, push a compost thermometer into the center. Watching that little needle stay above freezing in the middle of winter is proof that your compost is alive, quietly thriving beneath the frost. Part 13. Nature's timing. Why winter composting is a gift. Here's the part I love most: the reminder that winter composting isn't about racing toward results. It's about rhythm, patience, and trust. While your garden sleeps under a blanket of frost, your compost is quietly at work, weaving together everything you've given it: every peel, every leaf, every fragment of life. There's a certain peace in this season. You can't rush the process, and you don't need to. The magic of winter composting lies in knowing that beneath the stillness, transformation never stops. Each layer you built months ago is softening, merging, and turning into the foundation of spring's renewal. When you open your bin in early spring and see that dark, rich compost ready to feed your garden, it feels like a reward for your faith. You didn't fight nature, you partnered with her. Winter composting teaches us that even when everything seems silent, growth is still happening. And that lesson, perhaps, is the greatest gift the garden ever gives. Let the earth do the work. And there it is. The quiet truth every gardener eventually discovers. Composting, especially in winter, isn't about constant effort. It's about cooperation. When we stop forcing, stop turning every few days, and simply allow the earth to breathe, it rewards us with something miraculous: living soil that feeds everything it touches. Your winter compost is more than a pile of scraps. It's a promise that life goes on, even in the coldest months, that under the frozen surface, warmth still stirs, preparing for spring. So next time you step outside and see frost on the leaves or steam rising gently from your compost, take a moment to smile. Nature is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever tried composting through winter? What tricks, surprises, or lessons have you discovered along the way? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might just inspire another gardener to begin. And if you love learning how to work with nature, not against it, don't forget to subscribe to Green Space Inspirations for more real gardening wisdom, grounded in patience, passion, and the living rhythm of the earth.